everyone. I'm Cher Safran with Share Wisdom Network, and it is my true honor to be hosting this series for Nautilus Book Awards. Now celebrating 20 years of honoring better books for a better world, Nautilus Book Awards continues this important mission forward to spotlight visionary books that co-create a better world and more positive future. The Nautilus Awards embraces books from a wide spectrum of the publishing industry, which radiate hope and wisdom, inspiring and connecting our lives as individuals, communities, and planetary citizens. This is a vast and crucial conversation now more than ever. The Author Spotlight series offers opportunity to increase the volume and visibility of the author's voices as found in these empowering Nautilus award-winning books. Author Jennifer Skiff is with us here today, sharing insights from her Nautilus award-winning book, Rescuing Ladybugs, which won the Gold Award in the Animal and Nature category. So let me introduce Jennifer to you. Jennifer Skiff is an award-winning journalist, author, and animal activist. Her best-selling inspirational books, The Divinity of Dogs and God Stories, are published in 7 languages. Her latest book, Rescuing Ladybugs, has received 3 first-place literary prizes. For more than a decade, Jennifer traveled the world working as an investigative correspondent for CNN. Among other honors, she's received the prized Environmental Media Award. Jennifer's the Director of International Programs for the Center for a Humane Economy and Animal Wellness Action in Washington, D.C. She specializes in public policy, treaty enforcement, and corporate reform initiatives to benefit animals and people globally. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's really such a delight to have this time with you, Jennifer. I've read your book. It touched my heart. From the very first words, I could tell you were writing from your heart. I felt so captivated and inspired by you, and it really means a lot to be able to talk with you about your book today. One of the things that really fascinated me was how you threaded the words ladybugs through your story. And you titled your book, Rescuing Ladybugs. Tell us about why you titled it Rescuing Ladybugs.
Well, it's a soft title for a somewhat difficult subject. You know, if you remember when we were kids, ladybugs and butterflies and puppies and farm animals, they made us happy. Naturally, they made us happy. And our parents and our grandparents taught us that if a ladybug landed on us, we should blow her away so she could return safely to her family. And in doing that, we would receive good luck. Now, that story I researched and it is known throughout the world. And it nourished our natural empathy and set us on a path to feel compassion for all animals. At the time, we were being taught one of the greatest lessons in life, that kindness for others has rewards. And I believe and brought forward in this story that acting compassionately actually for all creatures, including animals that are human beings, brings joy and does create good luck.
I love that. And it is a hard topic, what's happening with animals in the world. But I also am so inspired and moved by your story and the story of others. And I love that your publisher required that this book include your memoir. You'd already written 2 books, and they said, nope, you've got to tell your story too. And what is so generous on your part is you not only tell your story, but you tell the story of so many others around the world. And there is a pivotal moment in your book that seems to be pivotal to your life, and it's what seemed to inspire you even writing this book in the first place. And I would love for you to read that segment that talks about how you had witnessed the torture of Asiatic bears in 1998, And you initiated and led the successful campaign to build the first bear sanctuary in the country of Laos. And today, that sanctuary is home to 22 bears. In this reading, you describe that moment when your life changed.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for asking. In 1998, I had an experience that changed my life. I was in the country of Laos conducting research for a book I wanted to write about the Vietnam War. Most of the people in Laos are Buddhist, and I became immersed in the teachings of Buddhism. The religion, sometimes considered a philosophy, suggests that when people do good things, good consequences will return to them, and that when people do bad things will happen. Karma. Buddhism also teaches compassion and instructs people to live in a non-harmful way, never killing or causing another being to suffer. I personally was excited to discover a spiritual practice based on compassion, but was soon reminded that religious teachings don't guarantee enlightened ways when I stumbled upon a merciless situation in a cultural park. Now, Laos is a communist country. I was a journalist for CNN, so I had a government minder to keep an eye on me. My Australian boyfriend, John, was also with me at the time. I was slowly making my way down a dirt trail at the park when John yelled out, "Jenny, don't come down this path." Of course, I did. And what I saw weakened my faith in humanity. Asiatic sun and moon bears were imprisoned in 5 cages placed around a statue of Buddha. The cages were bell-shaped, constructed of thick iron bars and set on concrete slabs. They were so small, the bears' bodies were pushing through the spaces between the bars. In truth, they were confined in metal straitjackets, forced upright with nowhere to turn. And to make matters worse, it was stifling hot. There was no shade from the sun, no signs of food, and their water bowls were green with floating algae. I walked up and stood before one of the bears. He was rocking and crying with one paw pushed completely into his mouth. My throat swelled, and as my eyes welled with tears, they locked with his, and we connected. And with the despair that permeated my being, my knees buckled as I physically felt his suffering. That's when he reached for me, extending his arm. He showed me his paw. On his pad were 5 red and bubbled circular-shaped blisters. He cried out as I looked from the blisters back to his face. "Look," he said. "Look." I asked my interpreter what was wrong with his paw, and he said, "That's where people put out their cigarettes." The sadness grew louder. All around me, the bears were crying, tears streaming from their eyes. They were all in hell, all pleading for help. That's when John said, "Let's go, Jenny. There's nothing to be done here. You can't save every mistreated animal in the world." I understood what he was saying, but something in me had irrevocably changed. In fact, I experienced a profound spiritual realization that not only could I do something, but that I must.
Wow. It really is so touching to think what you accomplished. You moved mountains, and it's not easy to move mountains in any country, but you moved mountains in Laos. And the people who came to you and the people you found, just really remarkable. And on behalf of all of the creatures on this planet, I thank you for what you have done and how you did it. And thank you for sharing your story in this amazing book. Really beautiful.
And thank you. Well, I learned a lot of lessons from the experience. Primarily, when you choose not to look away, and you're not afraid to do what's right, what you know is instinctually right, on the path to do what's right, you're never alone. People come to you. They come to you in the most unexpected ways to help.
In your book, you coin the phrase, the compassion movement, and you define it as the collective quest to alleviate suffering for all forms of life. So, what do you think is compelling so many people to be a part of this movement?
Well, a good question. I think the movement has come to the forefront really in the past 30 years. It's a combination of those who have been doing good for other people and the animal welfare movement. It's not our nature to want to witness suffering or to experience it ourselves. And we all know that to stop it at this stage of the game, we must join forces. The movement right now is a tidal wave, and it's unstoppable.
Is there one story in your book that stands out for you that you want to leave the audience with that's maybe surprising, inspiring, maybe a favorite story?
I love, frankly, every story in the book is inspiring. And I get messages from people all over the world saying this one story did it for me. But I love the story of Guy Stevens, who was diving in the Maldives. And it was sunset, and he was about to get on his boat. He was out of oxygen in his tank. And he was watching a large aggregation of manta rays. And he was about to surface, and this one manta came up to him, and they're huge. They are huge. And she looked at him, and he, right, feet away, her eyes to him, and obviously was trying to speak to him because she had fishing wire, she was embedded in her, and obviously was in a lot of trouble. And he said to her telepathically, well, I don't have a knife. I don't have anything to help you. Hold on. So he goes back up to the boat, again, getting dark, grabs another tank, grabs a knife, goes back down. And of course, there are hundreds of these mantas. And he just watches them. That manta came back up, came out of the tornado that she was swimming in, came back up to him, and just let him remove all that wire, even though he said it would have caused her incredible pain. And that was the communication. In the end, he ended up knowing that he saved her life because on a later dive, she came up to him again. And to me, that is what this book is all about. And it's about stories of connection between people who had a moment of connection with an animal that changed their life and caused them to go on and create change in the world for all of us.
It does. That book, you touch our hearts, open our minds, you inspired our lives, and I'm really grateful. On behalf of the Nautilus Book Awards team, really grateful that you wrote this book. Thank you so much. Rescuing Ladybugs. Love it. Bye-bye.